So this little Remington 14-inch saw, this is the cheapest saw on Amazon I bought last year and ended up doing a review on it and doing a modification and repair when the primer bulb flew out and decided to try and dump gas everywhere. And I have kind of grown to like this saw, but it's always been a little bit dead. It's not had a lot of top end and acts really rich. So I thought, well, let's give it a little bit of an exhaust port job, just a mild port, and see if we can wake it up a little bit. The process is pretty simple. We're going to take the muffler and modify it by opening it up with a couple more small holes. Disclaimer, I'm not responsible for you wrecking your saw by doing this or any engine. I was a mechanic in former years. I'm still a licensed mechanic. I'm not an expert. I'm just a fly-by-nighter who knows how to do some things to get a little bit more power out of things safely. So the simple part of it is we're just going to free up the exhaust flow. Now to do that, we want to know what we're working with here. So I give the saw a little bit of a going over. We'll pop the plug out of it and see what we're working with. As I suspected, this plug is just hosed in fuel and oil. This is a really long-term rich condition, so really rich to the point where that plug is pretty much fouled. So we know we're heavily rich here. That's pretty normal for consumer anything 2-cycle nowadays. They come off the assembly line super rich, and this one will have a catalyst in the exhaust to try and clean some of that up. We want to give things a little bit of a look over here, make sure there's nothing wrong, make sure we clean everything up, a little bit of a blow with the air gun. Notice how I stuck my thumb down in the throat of the carb there. You could seal it up any which way you want. You just don't want any crud getting down into the carb or into the cylinder itself. No problem, everything looks pretty good. So before we do anything, we really need to be sure that we can adjust this carburetor. Although it's really rich now, we may need it to be even more rich. We're going to open the exhaust up a little bit and let it breathe. Therefore, you breathe more, it's going to need more fuel to maintain the same ratio. The stoichiometric ratio for air and fuel in a gasoline engine is 14.7 to 1. And that's ideal. Of course, we're going to be a little richer than that. Truthfully, I think the 2-cycle is even a little tiny bit more rich than that. But anyway, regardless, we want to make sure that we can adjust this carburetor and we'll move forward.
Half, 2, 2 1/4. That's on the low. Low, 2 1/4. Check high. High is the one that matters. Half, 1, half, 2, half, 3, 3.5. Holy crap. Jesus. Alright, well, we're fully adjustable, so we can set that. So let's 1, 2, 3.5. Jeez, that's rich. Holy smokes. No wonder she's lazy. Oh, that'll do it. Yeah, that explains why idle's great and runs like a dog wide open. That explains that plug. Cool. That's awesome. That means we can free this up.
So the first cover on the front of this muffler, it's the same on most. It's going to be a cover holding the spark arrestor screen in place. You could remove this and you would gain a little bit more mass flow too, but it's pretty negligible compared to the mod we're going to do. Totally up to you. Don't blame me if you start a forest fire if you remove it. What's always favorable is using a different muffler if you can, and keep the original the way it was from factory. You could always put it back. I have some spares here from my Hutzels and Holzformas and some no-namers that I had ordered from eBay. It turned out I was close, but they're not quite the right size. I could modify them, but we're just going to go ahead and modify the one that's on the saw. It's not ideal, but that's what we're going to have to do today.
Nope.
In hindsight, I should have got my borescope out, but this is what it looks like down from the cylinder side inside the muffler. We have some baffling and a catalyst in this one, or at least what appears to be a catalyst, a honeycomb style. What we don't want to do is work with drilling that directly. The beauty of this particular muffler is it does have a straight shot through to the output here at the bottom that we can just bypass all the baffling and the catalyst and allow it a little bit more mass flow. You may be wondering why we wouldn't just hollow it out entirely. Well, we don't want to do that. There's some scavenging effect to what you get from the back pressure and the baffling of the muffler. It's essentially like a supercharging effect, most commonly referred to improperly as scavenging. We want to maintain most of that.
We can essentially bypass the catalytic converter that it's got in there. There's a honeycomb in there that is definitely acting as a catalyst, probably. Crazy. It's heavy.
I threw this in just because I thought it noteworthy at 362 grams. This is a heavy little chunk. So that catalyst material in there and baffling is significant considering the outside is just basically stamped tin. Now we could properly calculate the amount of material that we want to remove, but basically in this case, I'm going to go with what I feel correct here with this drill bit, and we'll start with a couple of holes. No risk when we go with this small amount of material that we're removing. We're still maintaining a lot of the back pressure and a lot of the scavenging effect of the muffler, as well as a little bit of the muffling effect too. Now what you want to do is center punch this just so our drill bit doesn't wander around in there. Whatever kind of punch you have, I have an automatic center punch here that you can just push down hard and it'll automatically spring release and give a good little dent. Works just great. Now we can go ahead and drill our holes. Now the absolute critical part is making sure none of these metal filings remain in this muffler or they can get drawn back into the cylinder from the scavenging effect. And that's it for now. We've started small, so we can always go bigger holes, more of them later. There's lots of math and science to it, but I can still hear some metal in there, so I got to do some more work and get that out of there. I like using Loctite 243, always blue Loctite, never ever red. A little bit of blue Loctite on the exhaust bolts saves you some hassle in the bush. Saw bolts love to come out, and in the bush they end up lost forever, and you generally won't have replacements with you. So I like using blue Loctite. Tension that chain up a little bit. It's pretty loose, but this saw has a funny tendency. When it gets hot, the chain actually gets significantly tighter hot. It's notable. So you'll see here in a minute when I go to set the mixture that it actually gets too tight. I correct this later before we go out to the bush. No problem. Just something to be aware of. I'm going to leave most of the mixture setting procedure here in the video. You'll notice that I go from low to high speed to low to high speed back and forth until I have it all set. Remember, your low speed can affect your high speed, so you need to always go back. Your high speed won't generally affect the low speed mixture, but low will always affect the high.
1, 2 and a half. Should be a good start. GoPro stop recording. What do we got? Some of this 40-to-1 to use up. Last year's clearance stuff. Could use it up. Good enough for this saw. Should be in good shape. That's that primer that was such a problem on this saw. No problem anymore since I made that shroud. That's the ticket for this thing. Okie dokie. I forgot the mixture adjustment for this goofy thing, so we're stuck with the adjustment that I did in much colder weather. It's a little rich right now by the sounds of it, but I guess we'll try. That sucks. We can't adjust that at all today, but on the plus side, at least it's good and rich. On the minus, it's too rich. It's going to be too rich, but that'll be fine. We just won't get full balls out of it. Bad. He's rich.
Not bad. That'll do for today. Well, that's the end of a little bit of a cleanup. This all worked good. I'm quite content. I really wish I would have remembered to bring the adjuster for it. I think I'm going to remedy that and make it so those adjusters are screwdriver possible instead of those anti-tamper or whatever you want to call them, jets. I can't complain. It's a little rich, but not horrible. The idle is a little rich too. It sort of burbles a little bit at idle and just a slight stumble, but I did all right setting it at the shop the other day. So I think I'm going to put this thing into service. I'm no expert. I'm just a fly-by-nighter, former mechanic. I know how to deal with some stuff, and this works all right now. I'm happy with it. It's a lot more alive than what it was. Way more. It's got a lot more pep. I wouldn't call it a powerful saw by any stretch. Like any of my other Husqvarnas or my steel are way better for power-wise. But for a reliable little saw, I like it now. Even though it started off, we had a rocky start when it tried to bite me there. But the video I'll link down below, the first 2 videos of the mod of that thing. If you're mechanically inclined and want to buy one, I wouldn't hesitate. Little bit of a port, woke it up just a little bit, and I'm quite content with it. I still might change that exhaust completely and remove that catalyst in there. Is definitely, it's a good thing. They sell them that way for a reason, but I think I'd rather have it gone and have the saw breathe good. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have good luck and get out in the outdoors and have some fun with your saws. They really are fun. It's a good way to relax and a good way to get some exercise. I'd much rather this than go to the gym, wouldn't you? Cheers, guys. Good luck in all your projects.